Hi, welcome to the store so far. This is episode number 8. Today we're going to explore turning your house into a real asset. The reason I would like to explore this at this stage is there seem to be a lot of granny flats being built around Sydney, the area, the city where I live. And in the year 2012, I jumped in the bandwagon and I built a granny flat at the back of my house. And so I'm going to break down the experience for you and share some of the excellent returns I have received from it. Now, when I first started studying real estate, as you all know, I'm a fan of Robert Kiyosaki and I learned a lot from him and I continue to do so. He used to say that your house is not an asset, and I never understood that. I thought, I'm paying down my house, eventually I will own it. But further down the track, as time went on, I did realize that indeed, your house is not an asset. You have insurance, maintenance, rates, water, that you need to pay on top. So if one day eventually you retire, you pay your house in full, you retire, but you have no money to pay those things, you're going to lose your house pretty quickly even though you've already paid it, okay? So to me that was an eye-opener. And the solution that I found to cater for this, or to turn around this, to really make sure that my house was an asset, was a granny flat. And boy, I am so glad I did it, okay? Now, I'm going to break it down in 3 areas, okay? The first one is going to be evaluating cost versus return. I mean, well, John, yeah, sure, I can build a granny flat, but they cost between 100 and 120 grand for a small one. Yes, they do. But I'm going to show you how you can achieve infinite returns with that. Infinite returns? Yes, infinite returns. The first time I heard that, I think it, again, was from Robert Kiyosaki, and I just thought, that's something these guys can do. I can't do that sort of stuff. But I will show you how very easily you can do that. And by the way, if you're a wannabe first home owner, and you're out there in the market, I would seriously recommend that you factor in buying a house that you can build a granny flat. It's just as easy as going to your local council, finding out what the regulations are, and if you have plenty of granny flats around the area that you're buying, that's your cue right there. You will be able to build one, okay? Corner blocks are easier to work with. I live in a corner block, and I was able to build a granny flat with a private access. I will go into some of those details in a sec. Now, I did mention that we're going to cover 3 areas: cost versus return, renting it, straight up rent through an agency or yourself, versus Airbnb, and I will go through some of the numbers in there, and successful management. Now, this is critical, okay? Regardless if you decide to rent it or rent it through Airbnb, okay? So we'll come back to that in a second. Now, the first area that we have here is cost versus return, okay? In the year 2013, based on the area that I had, I built a small little 2-bedroom granny flat. It cost me $100,000, okay? And even though it may sound like it's a fair chunk of money, at the current interest rates, you'll be able to borrow that money very easily against the equity of your home, very safely, if you like. Or if you have about 20 grand, you can start negotiating with the bank and getting a loan on top for that. Now, what I'm trying to do here is to show you why in the beginning I thought, I don't have $100,000. If you don't have it, just go borrow it. Call your mom, your dad, your grandpa. Because what's going to happen is it's going to cost you 100 grand, but you're going to get $25,000 a year very easily. And that's a 25% return, okay? Where else these days can you get a 25% return? Nowhere. Stock market, ETF, nothing, okay? So you better off, if you don't have the money, go borrow it from your uncle, your rich uncle. Yeah, that one. Go borrow it, because what's going to happen is you can say to him, look, lend me 100 grand, I'll give you 15% return, and you keep 10% return very easily. Okay, what's going to happen though is you're going to be able to pay your uncle in 4 or 6 years, and then guess what, all the return, all the cost would have been repaid, and guess what happens, you reach infinite returns. If you put 100 grand and in 5-6 years you received 100 grand, guess what's left in the deal? Zero. Guess what's your return? Infinite. Very simple. In my particular situation, put down 100 grand, I received 25 grand a year. It took me 4 years to fully repay the 100 grand that I invested, and then from the 5th year on, I started receiving the same 25 grand, but without any money left to pay. You see what I mean? This has been one of the best returns I ever had in any property deal ever, period. Now, renting versus Airbnb. Why did I went the Airbnb route? My mom comes and visits, and maybe my wife's parents come and visit as well every now and then. And I do want to have a space where they can stay. And you may be thinking now, well, they can stay in your home. Yeah, but as you know, that leads to problems. And as a matter of fact, what I discover is through the 99% of the customers that we get through Airbnb are people that are on the same boat. People that don't want to stay together for too long because they know they'll end up fighting. Families, right? It's not fair on my wife that I'm putting my mom here for 3 months, right? Very unfair. And vice versa. It's not fair to me if her parents come and visit for 6 weeks, having to share the bathroom and the space and all that sort of stuff. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. Okay? One of the reasons that I have here also, much better returns. When I worked out the numbers, having the flexibility, keeping it open for my mom for 2 months a year, I get 25K. If I would have rented straight out, I'd still get between 22 and 25K, but I still wouldn't have had the 2 months free from my mom. Pretty powerful, okay? Lots of flexibility, as I put in here. Okay, you can get your families and maybe your top friends, but I wouldn't recommend having friends here because they can spread out the voice, and then you will have friends coming in and out and wanting to stay at your place for free and that sort of stuff. It's a business, and you should treat it as such because that's how you get infinite returns, okay? So that's super important. The other one is repairs on top. On average, you will have people coming in and out in a week, 10 days, 15 days, that sort of stuff. So if anything needs a bit of maintenance or a retouch, or repaint, or just a good scrub, you can stay on top of that, okay? And a lot of people think that, yeah, well, it's very easy, put it for Airbnb, get a cleaner, clean it up. But I think it's really important that I mention that in Airbnb, as you know, it's a peer review system or a customer review system. And basically what it is if you don't provide a clean, safe environment for your customers, your guests, they will give you that feedback, and you will have that online digital record on your Airbnb, and your property won't be as hot and rentable as your competitors around you. Okay? And by the way, you don't need to be in, I live close to the beach and I live in a pretty cool part of town, but you don't need that. Remember, 99% of my customers are family, visiting family. They don't want to stay together because they don't want to fight. Okay? Super important. You don't need to be in the fanciest part of town to make some money on this. I have friends that I recommended they do this in more inner west areas, and they've been very successful at this as well. And I can't see any difference from my experience. Okay? Now, finally, what does it take to successfully manage your granny flat through Airbnb? The first one is communication. Okay? As soon as you get a message, reply. Give your incoming customers instructions on how to access, where to get the key. Don't wait until they ask you. You tell them up front. Okay? I worked in hospitality for many years before moving to Australia, and some of the things that I learned, it's the communication. It's key. Second bit, but almost as important as the first one, it's cleanliness. Now I'm talking about sparkling clean. I'm not talking about, they won't notice that dirty cup, those plates smell like egg, it's all fine. No. Everything has to be 100%. I'll tell you what, between my wife and myself, we clean the property because it's next door, and we can give it that extra edge that has enabled us to become super hosts in Airbnb, and therefore people book our property without asking any questions. The super host status is a sure way of getting consistent bookings year round, no matter what. Okay, because people know you're going to treat them fair, property's going to be clean, and you have a product that it's comfortable. Okay, and I'll come back to that in a second. Okay, sparkling clean. You may say, well, I don't have time to clean the property, or maybe not you, but maybe you can train your children if they're growing up. Your wife, maybe she has a part-time job, she can complement the income with that, and so on. But look, I highly recommend that you start managing it yourself. Build your superhost status, and then maybe delegate it, but not before that. Okay, I've been to properties that are disgusting. I like to travel, and I use Airbnb a lot, and I must say most of them are amazing and super clean, and they follow the same principles. But some of them are disgusting. You pick up a glass and it has lipstick on it. Some of the plates smell like egg. You open up the oven and it's all dirty from the previous guy that cooked the chicken in there, whatever. That's not cool. Okay, so you just make sure of that. Okay, when I mean by product, this one's a no-brainer. It means that you will have microwave, TV, Wi-Fi, all the mods and cons that you would expect yourself when you go on a rental or an Airbnb property, a short-term rental. And then privacy. This isn't critical. I've seen a lot of people that they build granny flats on the back of their homes, but they don't live in a corner block as I do, and they build the entrance on the side of the house, and every now and then the guests will be coming in and they'll waving goodbye. That's fine. I've seen people run their Airbnbs, their granny flats very successfully, and it's all perfectly fine. But if you can build a private access to the property and give it that kind of private feel to it, you are on the money. Okay, so just bear that in mind. So that's really important. Okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to give us a comment underneath, like, subscribe, share with friends. I'll be more than happy again to answer any questions you may have. Until next time, stay safe and go for those infinite returns. See ya.